Hello, I'm Nexus, and welcome to a review of Bian Bao, Hornets Agent. Oh yeah, back to vehicle mode, you. If you can't tell, this is a third-party take on the Transformer known as Bumblebee. And while this is undeniably a Volkswagen Beetle, it's very cartoonish in its proportions. I consider SS18 to be a pretty accurate depiction of a Volkswagen Beetle, and yeah, you can see just how off this thing is. I don't mind it though, because it's actually kind of cute. Though yeah, I gotta be honest, I am really missing the attention to detail here. But I don't mind though, because it is a G1 styled figure. And to be honest, it's not terribly far off. Though considering it's about the same height and has the same size wheels as S18, putting it next to it does make it look kind of awkward. Especially considering they're also about the same width, which really makes it kind of weird. Though, while we're under here, there is a cheap little bit of weapon storage, which I think is really good considering you can't really take any other kind of weapons. Hell, even looking at it from the front, it's completely inconspicuous. That's impressive. For comparison, let's bring in a figure that I overwhelmingly detest. Overall, this figure has about the same mass and overall size as Earthrise Cliffjumper. While not as long, it is taller. Though, to its credit, Earthrise Cliffjumper is in amazing car mode. Well, at least it's the complete opposite of Earthrise Prime, but they're still both not really good figures. But even while throwing realism out the window, I 1000% prefer this figure, because it's genuinely more fun. Scale-wise, here is SS38, and it doesn't look half bad. Though frankly, SS18 doesn't scale that bad either. Paint-wise, this mode is alright. Headlights in silver, bumper in black, hubcaps in silver, and windows in a metallic blue, which is impressive considering there's a hinge in one of them, and most of the time you can't even notice it. And while the taillights are picked out in red, which is something that almost never happens, the rear bumper and the rear window are completely blank. Come on, how much would it be to coat the bumper in silver? And that window is so small, putting blue there wouldn't affect anything. Ultimately, I can't complain, because for half the price, the transformation is so much better than Earthrise Cliffjumper. I mean, the guy literally has to abandon an entire chunk of himself, and then come back to get it later. Pathetic. Now, nothing exactly tabs in except for the front, but it all holds together pretty securely. To start off the transformation, you want to open up these back flaps where the back wheels are on. And then kinda just yank at the roof until all this comes undone. There's no real science to it, but it's fine. It has a good hand feel, honestly. Hinge that whole mess back onto the waist section. Fold in the front wheels a la MP Bumblebee, which, I mean, okay, everyone says it's an MP Bumblebee thing, but I feel like it's a pretty normal thing for Bumblebee figures to do anyways. Rotate the ankles up, just like MP Bumblebee 2, just like a normal Bumblebee as well. After raising your camera, fold in the doors to the back of the heels, and oh boy, it's exactly like MP Bumblebee, ooh! Ensure that top section is rotated all the way back for now. Swing out the arms. Rotate the back wheels into the torso, and holy shit, this is ingenious. How has it taken this long to think of something so simple yet so clever? Open up this back flap, and then work these two hinges until you can get the chest folded down into place. It's a bit precarious, but you can get used to it over time. And whoo-wee, it locks securely into the torso. Finally, raise your camera yet again, and ensure that these two flaps, made out of the windows, fold in overlapping each other. Flap 1, flap 7, flap Q, and then sort of just adjust it to your liking. And hot damn what a transformation it is! That is so goddamn fun to pull off, and it is so goddamn well engineered. And this is for a legend-size figure. And this was released in 2014. Hasbro, you could have just copied this figure to make the Earthrise mold. And you didn't. And it's so obvious that this is so much better engineered. And even separated, this is just generally a better mold, even without the as well detailed vehicle. The back is considerably more condensed. An Earthrise Cliffjumper had the excuse of parts forming on his side, and yet it's not as well done as this. And hey, look at that. Without feeling the weird need to do some stupidly fancy shit, the chest ends up the right way. Like, how have people just let this slide? This is a design choice on Cliffjumper where it really should have been accurate to how it is because it looks so bad. One of these robots looks brave and heroic. One of these robots looks like me. Hasbro, we are laughing at you. This knockoff is so much better than your offering in its engineering, and it's crazy to think that Earthrise Cliffjumper is the more expensive option. And yeah, he fits in perfectly with your Chug line, absolutely seamlessly. But while I sing the praises of this figure, in order to be a not biased reviewer, I have to acknowledge that the Earthrise Cliffjumper does do a couple things better, but ultimately they don't matter. First off is articulation. Cliff has a double joint in his head to look down, waist rotation, and a significantly deeper ankle tilt. Though Hornets agent has a rotation at the foot, so ha! But the inner side of the foot is completely straight, so you're able to get him in any wide leg poses you need. So aside from the waist swivel, there's no pose this guy can't hit that Cliffjumper can't hit. Proportionally, I do still ultimately think that he's better. He's got a much more evenly done torso to his leg ratio. But the devil's in the details, and Earthrise has him beat there. Yeah, Cliffjumper's a frickin' immaculate looking bitch, huh? He's got all the bells and whistles and seam lines and panel lines and kind of just random junk, which really comes out with paint. And, whew, yeah, this is where it's starting to get really tough for me, because I'd like me some detail. And, oh man, yeah, painting, it really did kind of improve my opinion on Earthrise Cliffjumper. It's still ultimately a piece of crap, but not as much as I once imagined it to be. And then you get to the head sculpt, and Hornets agent looks like fucking Johnny Bravo. Yikes. It's kind of weird how third-party companies just can't seem to do Bumblebee's face right. I don't mind it entirely too much, but the head sculpt, it's one of the most important aspects of the figure. And the hands on this are not the typical 5mm ports you would find with any other Transformer. While Cliffjumper could steal Megatron's mace and shotgun, Bumblebee is left with his singular pistol, which he holds at an angle. I would have much preferred the wrist to angle out instead of rotate. 'Cause I gotta be honest, wrist rotation is kind of overrated. But his overall articulation lets you get him into a myriad of poses, such as pointing and shooting. Pointing and shooting while adjusting your shirt. That pose. Wait, what do you mean this isn't an Optimus figure? Oh well, I'm doing it anyways. Flight of the Bumblebee, Horgen's agent. Standing triumphantly as you're the face of the brand, while Cliffjumper is left to die at every single opportunity, even though that's actually only been twice now. Pondering how, in your flashback, in your movie, the camera focuses on Optimus rather than you. And finally, wait, they put the end credits scene before the end credits? That's kind of weird. Who edited this? Overall, I ultimately think that this knockoff of a third-party legend-scaled figure is freaking fantastic, especially if you don't like the Earthrise mold. And it's so cheap. Even for all its faults, you can't deny that this is a good deal for what you are getting. The engineering is smart, the plastic feels good, he's a good size, and he's articulate as you would expect. He fits in perfectly with your Chug collection, and I honestly cannot recommend this figure enough. So anyways, I have a Nexus 8846 production, and it appears the next review is going to be Kingdom Beast Megatron.
Yes.